Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
I'm talking with Peter Rosenberg. We've been trying to hook up for, about a year?
Something like that.
And so you just rolled into 316 Gimmick Street with your posse.
I did.
Was there parking outside?
I got a spot across the street. I came in with my suited agent, Dipperstein, who I always reference because I think it's a very heel move to reference having an agent with me at all times, and my assistant, Mike. And dude, first, thank you for having me here. This is amazing.
I'm glad we could hook up because you're here. You're from the East Coast. You live in the city, New York City, right?
I live in the big city. That's right.
And we're out on the West Coast. So it's the Grammys that brings you to town?
Yes. I've been coming out here quite a bit, like every 6 weeks or so, just to try as you well, you didn't have this issue because everyone wants to work with you, but as I experience, when I sign with an agent, I was like, I'm not going to be one of those guys who sits back and waits for my agents to do stuff. I'm going to come to L.A. every 6 weeks and get in their face and go sit in their office. So I come out here quite a bit. But the Grammys, I'm doing something for E for the Grammys this weekend.
So what are you doing for E?
They are calling me in as an expert on the pre-Grammy red carpet for E! Online. So they do like the
An expert in what?
A music expert.
Well, you are.
Which is
with respect to the hip hop genre or music in general.
Well, I said that to them at the beginning. I said, "Are we going to focus me on hip hop?" And they said, "We're going to." They said, "Are you comfortable with pop and hip hop?" I said, "That's fine."
Right.
I can
so where does the pop part come in? Like who would be included in those artists?
Well, this year it'll be the record of the year and the song of the year category. Okay. Taylor Swift, Hozier had a big.
So what do you
record.
think about Taylor Swift going from country, and it was pop country, but nonetheless massive success on a commercial level? So, and her endeavor into pop, sugar-coated stuff, or because you're pretty critical.
If I was a big country guy, right. and I got to tell you, the only country I love, and I like random country all the time. The only country I love is very random. It's Tim McGraw, Garth Brooks, the Dixie Chicks, Kenny Chesney, right? I'm a pop country kind of guy.
Right.
But they're still definitively country. There's no question. You don't hear them on pop radio.
Right.
That's country radio. If I was a country guy, I'd probably take issue with Taylor Swift, only because I don't see how she can be called country anymore. To me, I don't hear country when I hear it anymore.
But with that last album she came out with, wasn't that indeed her step into pop?
Completely, but I thought she was already there.
Yeah, right. But, you thought, but the world is still in country.
I think, honestly, her look, her abundant whiteness keeps her appearing more country than she actually is. She's not that country.
That was a first for the Steve Austin Show.
I'm going to give you a bunch of firsts today.
Hey, so do you enjoy coming out to L.A.? Because, you're from Maryland.
Yes.
But you dig New York. That's your vibe, and you feed off that. Is it DJing or radio personality at Hot 97?
What do you
call it?
I'm a DJ,
right.
But I'm really, when I write my thing down, it says host/DJ.
Right.
That's what I do. Because honestly, most people know me as a host, but I have been a DJ for 20 years. That's how I got into the business.
Right.
But I love New York. I love L.A. I got to tell you, I know your thoughts on L.A., many of which I share. But I got to tell you, when you live on the East Coast for as long as I have, sheerly the quality of life because of the weather is such a huge deal that I love coming to L.A.
Right.
Because it's awful in New York right now. It is. I want to give a big shout out to everyone in New York it's so miserable in that place right now. So to be able to come out here, I'm able to see through a lot of the bull about the city because of how nice life is here.
Right.
But I do understand the thoughts you have on it. Listen, L.A. is L.A. There's no question.
How different are the people in your mind?
I think it's...
Swig a Red Bull for the working man.
There you go. Delicious.
Diet Red Bull. Keeping it sugar-free over here. Difference, people. The
difference in people. I think it's overstated. I think every time you get out here, all New Yorkers all go, I hate people in L.A. They're all so phony. Whenever I get to L.A., guess who I meet? All New Yorkers who move to L.A. and hate L.A. That the whole city is filled with them. Everyone here.
I always thought L.A. was full of crazy people. My wife is from here. She's crazy enough to marry me, but she's not really crazy. So it was the crazy people that moved here. I think L.A. in and of itself is a pretty cool city.
I have a theory on that.
Oh, please, expound.
So here's why crazy people come to Los Angeles.
Is this going to be like an E equals MC squared thing?
It's not that deep. I can't go that deep. Because, for what I just said, the weather's so beautiful in L.A., and there are two reasons people move to L.A. to act and for the weather.
Right.
both of those people are often incredibly superficial, shallow people because they let their life be dictated either by wanting to be in front of a camera, which you and I understand to an extent,
right,
or weather. They needed the weather. It was number one. It was more important than anything. Whereas someone like me or you, the reason you love Texas, the reason I love New York, is because of all these other things.
Right.
So I think there's a certain kind of mentality in those people that makes them crazy.
Right.
I think you're not off. There are a lot of crazy people out here.
So the Grammys now, this is going to be played after the Grammys, but they're Sunday.
The Grammys are this Sunday, yes.
Okay, and you're kind of a musical expert. Really with the hip-hop stuff, pop.
But I can handle
what kind of research are you going to have to put into this? None at all because it's who you are and what you know, because it's your passion, and you're like a savant at it. I call this son bitch a savant.
I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know if I'm not that good. I had to listen to some stuff. I knew all the artists that were nominated for the major award. No, that's not true. I didn't know Hozier. I had to listen to some stuff, but that's it. And the thing is, it's not that different, in terms of what makes you good at this and what makes me able to go out and do that isn't that different. If you have a lot of personality and strong opinions and you're able to deliver it on a microphone, right, there's a place for you to do it. And so I live music. So even if I didn't know the artist, if I spent an hour before listening to it, I can have a good idea of where to go. So it didn't require a ton of research. But listen, I could screw the whole thing up and never get called by you again. So I'll talk to you after Sunday. But I think I'm excited about it. I think it'll be good.
Is it a pretty big role? I've been doing a lot of talking.
Here's why it's a big role, because I'm a big deal in hip hop, but yes, I have not stepped into mainstream.
Right.
And thanks to my wonderful agents giving me this opportunity without ever working with me before, just saying, come out here and get on the red carpet and do this thing with us. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And you can't, it's like getting heading to a big promotion and getting a big match for the first time, and they say, hey, out of the gate, you're on a big card. You're going to come out on a pay-per-view and have a match early in the card. That's essentially what I have. So it's a big opportunity, and I can't mess it up, but I think people, I live for those moments. Those are what you look forward to.
Now, you grew up in Maryland, right?
Yeah.
So what was it that really made hip-hop resonate with you, and then you knew that this was something that you want to be a part of, and you really dug as a musical form?
It was going to New York, where my parents' family's from, my dad's family's from Queens, going to New York and listening to the radio with my brother. And I always thought I was going to be a sports guy. I was like, music's cool, but I love sports. And then I happened to be getting into it as the culture was evolving. And I was in New York listening to the radio. The stories I have from even listening to the radio, I tell people, and they can't believe I was so lucky to have been around it. And then
But you're 35 now. What was playing back then? And how old are you now?
I'm 35. That's right.
I know, but you're 35 now.
Oh, then
as a kid,
I was 8
when you knew.
Okay. It started at 8 or 9.
So, man, what were the acts that were popular back then?
Well, listen, I can name a lot cooler sounding ones. But
the ones that were.
The truth is, the first act that got my ear that I was like, was Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Parents Just Understand, 1987.
Right.
That song was a monster smash. I'm sure you remember. It's a huge, huge record. Got Will Smith on the map. And that was the beginning, but then my brother started playing me all the other stuff, the Big Daddy Kanes, the EPMDs, Eric B. and Rakim, Run DMC. And it was all that. And then I got, it's the same passion I have for anything that I love, which essentially is mostly hip-hop and wrestling.
Right.
Once I get into it, there's no stopping. And I often make this joke at the radio station. We always, I make a lot of white jokes because I'm the white guy at the radio station. White people have a tendency when we get into stuff to we don't just like it peripherally in a cool way. We want to learn everything. We have everything. I mean, Dipperstein, who's sitting over there in his house, has every issue of WWF magazine that was ever made. It's not just one thing. You do the whole thing.
Right.
So I took hip-hop so seriously that when I started getting opportunities after high school, when I went to University of Maryland and got at the radio station, these guys who wanted to sort of look down their nose at me because I was 18 and I showed up like I'm ready, they all had to respect me because when the conversation came up, I knew it. I just knew it. I just studied it. I was ready, and that's how it just spoke to me. It's I got to tell you, it's not unlike you, to be honest. Not to kiss your ass. I actually say this quite regularly. Your persona and what resonated with Stone Cold Steve Austin with the people is the same thing that resonated with people about hip-hop.
Right.
NWA and Stone Cold Steve Austin ain't that different.
Right.
It's telling people to F off.
Right.
And as you're a kid, I lived a very Jewish, upper-middle-class, regular suburban life. Hearing that was fascinating. It was sometimes scary. It was like, what am I listening to? These guys are talking about shooting cops and this is nuts. And I just got enthralled.
Is the hip-hop trend on the way down? Because I was reading an article, and it seemed like you're trying to keep it alive. But I thought it was thriving. I thought it was growing. But from what I was reading, it seems like it's going down. It doesn't seem to be true to me, but that's what I read.
Business-wise, it's great. I mean, it is the most important genre of music still. It sells more. Let's be honest. The most famous rappers are kind of like as the most famous. I mean, who's more famous than Jay-Z? You know what I'm saying? He's the biggest artist in probably in music, right at the top. So it's doing great. What people were worried about for a long time, and the role I sort of played, my gimmick in hip hop was like underground champion, right? I love all the real music, but I got to tell you, after being around for 8 years, and I don't know what level of responsibility I have, but I'll take a tiny bit of it. And there's a lot of great music now. There's a lot. I mean,
when you say the underground with respect to hip hop, is that like the punk to rock?
Sort of. Here's a
more refined.
I'm going to give you. I'll give you my favorite wrestling example that I do with hip hop. When CM Punk and Daniel Bryan became the two of the 3 or 4 top biggest stars in the company, and I told Punk this, and he geeked for it. He understood what I meant. I said, you guys are like if Mos Def and Talib Kweli became the 2 most popular rappers in music.
Right.
So I champion those guys. I champion the CM Punks and Daniel Bryans of hip-hop.
Right.
And some of them, like Kendrick Lamar, have now made it to the John Cena position.
Right.
And that's very exciting for me. And it's great business for both of us because that's the music I support. That's where I get my money. That's where I do everything. And it happens to be where my heart is. I've always followed my heart with it. And it just so happens. People told me when I was trying to figure out what to do, I never knew how to be a phony. I couldn't get it. Honestly, I'd have a lot more money if I played more mainstream DJ gigs. Right. I just can't do it. That's not what my heart is. And if you chase a trend, you're always chasing it. But if you sit in your spot and you do your thing, it's eventually going to come around and hit you. And I just kept doing my thing. Real hip-hop, great lyrics, great music, message, awesome, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, the first 4 years I was at Hot, it was slim pickings.
Right.
But now here we are in 2015, and a bunch of the rappers who are doing well, Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar, Wale, they're all these guys who are making really great, thought-provoking music. And now I'm in a great position to be sort of like the Muhammad Ali had, why am I spacing out? Because I'm talking to Stone Cold Steve Austin. The most famous sports reporter of all time, Howard Cosell. I've gotten to be the Cosell for a bunch of these guys. And that's awesome.
Hey, man, what was the difference between the East Coast style and the West Coast style? Break it down for long story short.
You mean the quickest synopsis of the style of music?
Yes.
Well, I mean, East Coast hip-hop, which was born in the Bronx originally, musically, it had a style that we would call like boom bap, heavy drums and bass, and laid a lot of samples, James Brown samples, blah, blah, blah. The West Coast thing started, and their whole sample base was different. The stuff that they decided to sample had a totally different feel, and they had different producers. It's the easiest example to give would be like Dre, right? And Dre made everything about Parliament and P-Funk, and that's what they sampled.
Right.
So musically, you have a difference. But then on top of that...
But then it would be a little bit more laid-back style.
Yes.
Like the Chronic.
Exactly.
Or something like Snoop would do.
Exactly. So, so it's funny because a lot of what they were saying out here was, in theory, harder. Gangster rap.
Right.
But the music was also more laid back.
Right.
In New York, it had heavier drums, boom bap. It was and the content was still hard.
Yeah.
It just there weren't as many quote gangster rappers. And I think that's where people draw the line. But I'm going to be honest, it ain't that. It's all if you love hip hop. In my opinion, when I meet people and they're like, "I'm not into West Coast," I'm like, dude, good music is good music.
Right.
It's hard to if you love this, if you love it. I geek out as much, to see Snoop or as I do Kane or Rakim. I mean, maybe not Rakim. Rakim is like, he's God. But I love it all. And I think that it was a media thing, and it and a lot of people played into it. And Biggie and Tupac ended up kind of being pawns in the overall scheme of things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Guys who are really friends and ended up looking like this. Like there was this huge feud, but these guys got along. Almost their whole careers, they got along. And then things just went a whole different way, and it looked like we had this whole beef. But we have a Hot 97. We're having a concert next week, probably this week when people hear it, All-Star Weekend, and we're doing a tip-off. It's called the Tip-Off Concert at Madison Square Garden Theater, headlined by Diddy and Snoop. And no one would ever say boo about that anymore.
Right.
Back in the day, you would be like, well, what the hell's going to go on at this concert? But no, That era is long gone.
So what about the DJing thing and going out and spinning records or doing whatever you do? Mm-hmm. You don't do that too much anymore?
I do. I got I reinvigorated myself DJing wise by collecting 45s, the little 7-inch records. And when I got into that thing, it was like it was like finding a whole different style. You know what I'm saying? It would be like if you stumbled in, you saw a tape from Mongolia and realized in Mongolia they were doing a whole different wrestling style that wasn't Japanese or Mexican or American. It was like a new thing. And so I got into this new thing, which was intimidating at first, and then I just fell in love with it, and it got me back to my vinyl collecting roots, because when you move to New York, you give up a lot of your stuff. So my record collection's been sitting in my parents' house in Maryland. I've been away from my records.
Right.
The 7-inches are small, so I was able to just start grabbing them and then just buying. So I just became obsessed. And so, like, I'm in town, we're doing this on a Thursday. Tomorrow night, I have a gig in West Hollywood where I'm spinning 45s. So I like to do it. I'll do a mainstream party, and I'll kill it. I can do a great job and play all the mainstream records. Not a problem. But my heart and my passion, if I would take less money to go play my 45s and play that music.
But how does that coincide with your gig at Hot 97?
I DJ my show on Sunday nights. I have a specialty show where I break all those underground artists.
Right.
Sunday night at midnight. And people can listen to it live on TuneIn Radio. You can listen live on Hot 97. And that's where I DJ that show. But on the morning show, I'm basically the wacky Jewish guy, right? My shtick on the morning show has been I'm the very candid, honest guy. I've had feuds with artists because I say things that they don't like and all that
the
stuff.
Nicki Minaj thing was interesting because I was just catching up with that.
Yeah.
Are y'all on... we're in a good place now?
Yes, yeah. We're on good terms now. It's very nice.
Man, I was watching that interview between you two, and it was a little stiff, and you was talking a lot. I was like, man,
she
works
going
to let her talk? And finally she started, and she was not too impressed with you. I didn't finish the interview, but I was like, man, I got to ask him about this.
No, you're right. She works stiff. There's no question about it. I was like, but I got... Is
that an ego crusher? Or,
Not at all.
No?
To me at the time, the Nicki Minaj thing was so good for me. You know what I mean? It was like... dude, I jobbed to Nicki Minaj. She was a huge star. I was nobody.
You had called her out. but you were just speaking your mind and saying, you were wanting to the true, hip hop stuff, and she had kind of was doing the bubblegum stuff.
Yes.
Speaking, you just called her on it. Didn't know you was feeding her stage.
I know exactly. I didn't know how big a deal it would become. I love Nicki, and I got to tell you though, here's the thing, and I don't expect Nicki to call me up and thank me by any means, and nor should she, but. Everyone says that this most recent album is her most hip-hop and her best piece of work. And she's selling a ton of records. She's killing. Listen, if Nicki had never done well again, I would have been very upset. But Nicki is killing it. You know what I'm saying? She's doing so well that it's a win for all of us.
Sorry about that.
Quite all right.
Hey, Nicki, what's happening? Yeah. I'm talking to him right now. I told him I was going to bring you up and talk to you. Yeah. Got it. Got you, Nicki. Don't mean to cut you off, but I got to run. All right, bye-bye. Hey, segue football. I know you're a big Washington Redskins fan.
Yes, I am, unfortunately.
You're a guy with a hell of an opinion. Well, man, they're not doing so great. But the question I was going to ask you.
The name.
Should they change the damn name? Right between the eyes.
They should change the name. They should change the
Really?
name. Yes, and I'm going to tell you why. It's I'm not sure about how people feel about the name, but here's the thing people have to understand. Why do we not know how people feel? Because we already killed all the Native Americans in the country. So if that's the starting point you're talking about, is that America wiped out this group of people, that starting point means this is a sensitive issue, right? So let's start there. It's the biggest genocide in history, right? So let's start that's a very sensitive thing, and the reason you don't know any Native Americans is because they're all gone, and that's how tragic that is. So that being said, I don't think all Native Americans are offended. But I think some are offended.
Right.
And more importantly, the world we live in is the world we live in. And Dan Snyder is never going to change that. So you can fight this fight as long as you want and make yourself look worse and worse and make the team get more and more hated, or you can get in front of it and do it, because they're never going to keep the name. It's impossible. And we suck. I'll do anything to change. We could change. I would rather we change sports
When is your earliest recollection? When is your earliest recollection of when this topic was brought up? Because it only seems to me, and I'm in a time warp, dude. I got slapped in the head with steel chairs for a living. I'm kind of dumb. But it only seems as of recent.
The amount you bled during the Bret Hart match alone.
I will get to that
worry
in a
about
bit.
you. Yeah,
I want to talk about your love for
because I worry about
wrestling.
you. I still worry about you because of that.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm 100%.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I just like to play it up a little bit for the sake of drama and radio. You know what to do.
I know.
We're in the business, okay?
I'll do the business. Okay, so I don't know. It's a good question. Listen, it always got mentioned. The first time it really came up and became a thing was 20 years ago. But when it became this kind of thing, you're talking about in the last 5 years. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Redskins fan. That annoyed me. I was like, why is this coming out of nowhere? And now why are all the snarky writers all acting like they care about this thing? It drives me nuts, okay? Right. I'm not – so I'm an odd position in Washington because there's very distinct feelings on this issue, and it's a big deal in Washington. And I'm weird because I am more of a diehard Redskins fan. I'm a lunatic, okay? I'm an absolute lunatic. I'll drop the biggest name drop of all time, but it's true. I talk to RG3 on a regular basis. Pierre Garçon, love these guys, love this team. Want them to win more than anything. But the fact of the matter is, and this may sound crazy, all right, and I'm not spiritual or religious particularly, we have bad energy around this team. You can watch what's happened, all right? From Sean Taylor's passing on a much bigger level to RG3 breaking his leg on a much smaller level, right? To the implosion this season, which was such an embarrassment. The team has terrible energy around it. So in my opinion as a fan, I want a damn reset. I want to hit the reset button. And in my opinion, if they went out there and said, we're keeping the colors, we're changing the name to the Washington Warriors, we'll still sell throwback Redskins stuff you can get, which I think people would probably accept, just do it. Get ahead of this thing and change this thing and make it positive and get your team out there looking positive.
Now you just spit out Washington Warriors. Is that in consideration?
That's out there. That's the one I like.
Actually ain't bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It sticks with the Native American theme. The helmet, they just changed the logo to an arrowhead instead of the face. It's not that hard to change.
Kansas City got the arrowhead, man. You can't.
Different arrowhead. We have a throwback arrowhead.
Oh, come on, a throwback arrowhead. I'm calling Bo, and I'm calling it right now. 316 Kimmick Street, Peter Rosenberg.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance, and more. And Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's simple. Go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
I'm talking with Peter Rosenberg. Unless you're a big Washington Redskins fan.
Yes, I am, unfortunately.
You're a guy with a hell of an opinion. Well, man, they're not doing so great. How's RG3 doing, man? I mean, a little bit of a confidence loss towards the end of the season. Him and Gruden weren't getting along so well. Where does he stand over there?
He's an interesting guy because my impression of him as a human being is so vastly different than what you read, okay? If you were to meet him, Texas guy, you'd already like him. I know that. But
well, I know, military background, class kid. I love him.
Class kid.
But, I mean, man, the Shanahan offense, he put him in harm's way so much. He really got beat up. And then he got that bad leg and then tried to come back too soon or play through it. And I was, like, watching this kid, play with this bravery, this heart's trying to lead this team and just getting smoked. And it just hasn't been the same since.
It has not. The injury's bad. And then on top of that, mentally, he lost it to a certain extent. But there's a bigger problem at play, in my opinion, which is that over and over again they're talking about this disconnect with him and the rest of the locker room.
Right.
And that this team, and that one of the reasons they were able to make some of the stupid decisions they did, like when they injected Colt McCoy as the starter over Robert Griffin III, that's because you don't have a team that's willing, that wants him. They were excited Colt was playing. And by the way, I love Colt. Colt's a Redskin, and he played with heart. And I got to say about all three quarterbacks, they all were very respectful of each other. And they all, when their number got called, they all played. And when their number didn't get called, they all slapped the other one in the ass and stood there and supported each other. And I love that. But the fact of the matter is, your whole team should have been saying, no, Colt's great, but look at the talent. Robert Griffin III, no matter if he's struggling or not, we got to see this thing through. And they didn't do that. And why didn't they do that? So, I know Robert, but I don't know him well enough. Although at some point I'm pretty for it. I probably will tell him how's it going with the locker room. Right. Because he's got to be. And it's not because he's the best dude. This guy, when you're in a room, is the most charismatic leader. He's such a great dude. He has it. If he doesn't make it in this, let me tell you something. If it doesn't work out the next year and he ends up in that, Robert Griffin III's going to be fine. Don't you worry. Like, he's going to be on TV. He's going to be a politician. He's going to be something. He's a star. But he needs to communicate better with that locker room and make them love him. But for me as a Redskins fan, here's my feeling on it. Robert has struggled. He's made mistakes. Some people complain that he took too many endorsement deals. I think that's listen.
I don't know about taking too many endorsement deals, man. If there's a good opportunity and it's a great sponsor, you got to jump on it. You got to get it while you can.
And as we learned after his injury, who knows how long you have? Mm-hmm. So everyone will tell you, oh, well, Andrew Luck didn't take any his rookie year. Andrew Luck wasn't getting the same offers Robert Griffin III was getting. All right,
no, he wasn't.
They're not the same charisma. It's a different kind of thing. So
I don't think that was the downfall. Again, you're
no. I want to know what you think.
No, you're closer to the franchise than I am, but. You know, a guy going out and doing gigs, I mean, if he's got his nose in the playbook and he's doing everything he can. But, you know, my biggest thing was, you know, early on, those first 2 years, man, tell him to get on the ground. Don't take those hits because, man, it's like, you know, we're going to see what happens with Johnny Manziel. You know, he was able to be really shifty in open space when he played for A&M. In a straight line, turns out it's not that fast. He was just so elusive at the collegiate level. Everybody said, hey, man, nobody can touch this guy. Well, same with RG3. I picked him when he was at Baylor to win the Heisman. And he did. And I saw it coming. I just think he's a premier athlete. But, you know, God, they got to coach him up and tell him, dude, get on the ground, save your body. These guys, dude, if you're wearing a quarterback jersey, if you play the quarterback position, they're coming to smoke your ass. And, you know, the window is closed on, you know, you can't hit a QB late. I mean, there's so many things. Even if they're sliding, you can't tap them. So if you got a stand-up shot on a guy, especially if he's running, they're going to try to smoke him.
And he loved it. And
I know, but, you know, you can't do it. You've only got just like you only got so many bumps left in your tank in football. You only have so many hits, man. Guys teeing off on you. And those guys, it's a whole different game than even 10 years ago. The guys are bigger, stronger, faster. And then you always had the guys who were ahead of the curve, your Reggie Whites, people like that who were just premier. But these guys these days
J.J. Watt,
J.J. Watts. And also the equipment has got so good that, you know, there's a trade-off because the equipment is so good. The guys are just going, you know, back in the day, and the game, the way it's spread out, guys are in open space making collisions rather than being in close confines with the run game.
That's right.
So the evolution of the game with the equipment, and then you still got human beings, and the bottom line is, you know, on some of the head-to-head stuff, when the brain hits the backside of the skull or inside the skull, it is what it is. You can put all the padding you want around it, but that's a thud and that's a stop. You see the guy get lit up on the, God dang, what was it? Was it Cliff Averill? Who got the concussion against the Patriots the other day. I mean, it was just kind of a sideways hit.
It didn't look that crazy?
Yeah.
That's right. Listen, Robert's got to figure that out. But I'm going to tell you something about Robert Griffin III. He is a true fighter. He's a guy who's not going to give up. And
he's a winner.
He's a winner by nature. And let me tell you something else. He's got an incredible arm. He's got an incredible arm. So they just got to, he's just got to work. So when they started saying, oh, he can't run this offense, blah, 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 that's what drove me the most nuts. If you're saying the guy doesn't know the offense, our season was lost. Don't put in a career third stringer or second stringer at best. Let Robert get the snaps he needs to get so you can figure out whether this thing's working or not, or you're going to move on.
Right.
But you don't just put him on the bench. The guy's got to get snaps. He's got to get reps. And you know what? This is the most healthy. Coming into this season will be the most healthy he's ever been. Let's take a look and see what he can do. It's his last year in the contract, and we'll see what he can do. But I love the kid. I hope he figures it out, man. I think he's great.
Who did they hire? It's still Gruden coaching, right?
Gruden's coaching. Okay. We brought in a new GM whose name I always forget. This guy who built Seattle.
Okay, what about the offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator is the same as last season. Okay. Wait, hold on. I'm so off in my we've made so many changes. We brought in a new O-line coach that we got from Dallas. We brought in a new D-line coach. They've made 4 changes.
Right.
And now I can't remember if we switched coordinators. Oh, look, Hip Hop Mike. This is why you got to have a Hip Hop Mike standing around. It says, dude, Jay Gruden head coach, Joe Barry defensive coordinator. I didn't even know that yet.
Right.
Okay. And yeah, Sean McVay is still our offensive coordinator. He was the old tight ends coach who they moved up. But we got a lot. Listen, the Redskins got a lot of issues. I'll tell you that. I haven't spoken to Mark Henry in 3 months now because I was dodging his phone calls because of the kind of season the Cowboys had this year. So
Are you going to lay into and rag you a little bit?
Well, he did. He does. I might still have the voicemail.
Yeah.
He on every voicemail he leaves, he goes, "You don't have to duck my calls, man. I just want to say hi." But I mean, the Cowboy, watching them when you're a Redskins fan and you see them, and not only were the Cowboys winning games, I got to tell you, the Cowboys were pretty good this year.
Yeah,
they had a hell of a season, and Romo had a great season, and I mean, the running back was insane.
DeMarco Murray.
DeMarco was out of his mind.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. Are they going to sign DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant, try to do both?
It's so hard to pick there because with a receiver you get more longevity.
Right.
But if DeMarco's running the way he runs, he's more valuable than Des no matter what Des can do, in my opinion. But Des, you want to lock him down for the rest of his career.
You don't want him playing against you, especially if he's been playing with you.
No, and the way he's been playing, the fact that he's grown up a little bit, he's not the problem he used to be. You don't want to go through his tough, annoying years and then not reap the benefits of his good years.
God dang, speaking of problems, what about Josh Gordon as of late? Just got suspended for an entire year.
Yeah.
Man, that dude, I mean, Josh, I know you don't listen to podcasts, but if you got a friend that does, get your ass some help. Hey, man, I've seen a lot of your interviews with the boys, and we were trying to talk on your show. We never got a chance to hook up.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
Yeah, we will. But what was your first memories of the business, and what got you into the pro wrestling scene?
I mean, listen, I'm a regular God-fearing American, and Hulk Hogan. And
you said you wasn't that religious a while ago. Which one is it?
I'm a red-blooded American. How about that? Hulk Hogan. I'm a Hulk Hogan-loving American, all right? And if to be an 8-year-old in 1987 on the East Coast, all right, which was, by the way, I'm sure many people know this, many people don't, but Washington, D.C., which is originally where Vince Sr. was.
Yes.
You're talking about a prime territory, right? So we were a true market for the WWF. And Hogan in that time was so ridiculously amazing and huge.
It's over.
I often talk about biggest pops. Who gets the biggest pops, right? So like I'm not going to get too far ahead, but so like for example, the reason I say, and you don't have to chime in here, but the reason that you are one notch bigger than Rocky is because the pop you got to me was the biggest pop I've seen besides Hogan. Hogan's pop in 1987, it wasn't even a pop. It was absolute pandemonium.
Yeah.
I think the difference is in those 10 years is the fact that in 1987, there was still a little bit of realness in the business that still existed. So the energy he got in terms of being a real-life hero to people, it was insane. Now, that said, even at 8 years old, I don't think I thought it was real. I don't think I thought it was a legitimate competition. I'm pretty sure, like when Macho Man took the bell to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's throat, I'm pretty sure I knew it was for fun, but I loved it. I was in. I just loved it.
But how old were you in '87?
I was 8.
Oh man, see I was flipping channels in Edna, and I came across Houston wrestling. Someone had a claw on Dusty. Dusty was bleeding his ass off. Security guard was strolling around the Sam Houston Coliseum, smoke-filled arena, just a rope for a barricade. Dusty bleeding like a stuck pig. My mother is over there reading her magazine, and Dusty's bleeding like crazy. And I told my mother, I said, "God dang it, Mom!" I said, "Why doesn't that security guard help Dusty?"
Well, I got to tell you though,
she's trying to keep the damn fans out of it. That's his job, to keep the fans out of the ring. But I'm like, hey man, go help Dusty. I bought in.
But even then, from when you were watching 10 years before I was watching, that still looked to me markedly more real.
Right.
Because we're talking about, by
right.
87, it still looked huge. It had a different thing. Now, I'm not saying, maybe I wasn't as smart as I thought I was, but I wasn't one of those people who says, like, I cried when so-and-so lost. I was just really into it. And, so I started watching every Saturday, and I remember nothing more than I would check that TV week every day, every week in the Washington Post. The paper would come. I would pop that thing open, and I would look to Saturday night 11:30, praying that instead of Saturday Night Live, it would say Saturday Night's Main Event.
Right.
That is all I wanted to see. And when you were sitting in front of that TV, and it would say, Saturday Night Live will not be seen this week because of the following NBC Sports presentation. I mean, me and my brother were just out of our minds. I get goosebumps talking about it now. There is a joy that it brought me that, that still brings me to this day. Now, the current product doesn't get me necessarily quite to that level, but I don't know.
But it's because of the fact that you're 35
I'm 35 years old.
Yeah.
If I was 8 now, I'm sure I'd feel the same way. But I mean, That I got to tell you, that's why I'm the world's biggest mark for the network, because I'll never get through everything that's on there.
Right.
And I love watching the stuff from my childhood, and I love learning about the territories that I don't know.
Do you ever watch the Tuesday Night Titans?
Oh my.
Man, that's one of my favorite things on there. I mean, Vince doing the shtick. I loved it.
I got to tell you, I think it was the best. I think it's Vince at his best.
I do too.
On camera.
Yeah.
This isn't popular always, but I've been talking about it. I do a wrestling podcast as well called Cheap Heat on Grantland. And me and my partner, Dave Shoemaker, we always talk about this. I don't love Vince on commentary. He was loud. He was
good in doses on commentary. I really believe that. Now,
in
obviously,
doses.
No, you see, that's what I said.
Yes.
In doses. And also, it's funny because when you sit here and talk about pro wrestling, I've got a good friend, Zach Wild, lead guitar player for Black Label Society. He is the biggest Ultimate Warrior fan in the world. And, hey, man, I respect Warrior for being a hell of a top draw. But when I look at the work, whole different thing. So his subjective opinion, a little bit different than mine.
Of course.
When you talk to someone, it's all – because if you say, okay, give me the top 5 pro wrestlers in history. Now, are we talking just on your favorites, or we're going to talk box office? Because we're just talking favorites, it's all about what you like specifically, because what you like doesn't make it to anybody else. Somebody else's cup of tea is going to be completely different.
Now listen, and that's why, of course, there are things I loved about Vince. But here's the hard part. When you're on the network now and you're flipping through watching old stuff and you hear Guerilla as your baby face, okay, he's the best to ever do it.
Yeah.
He's the best to ever do it. And so going to
And
Vince,
some people would disagree with that.
I want to talk to them. Who could say there's anyone better than Guerilla?
I agree, but I'm just saying. Go ahead.
So that said, Vince was cool as a commentator, and he was great with you as Mr. McMahon.
Right.
However, when he was playing the sort of shticky host on Tuesday Night Titans, and dude, you get a chance to watch interviews with people like S.D. Jones, people you would never get to hear from.
Yeah.
I love it. I love Tuesday Night Titans.
But also, I mean, the big thing of that was like he played the evil Mr. McMahon against me, and the owner of the company, and it never was acknowledged really until we started up that angle.
Right.
And I think it was some of my promos that said he was the one actually pulling the strings to the puppets that were running the show. But him and Tuesday Night Titans is really who he is. Just this over-the-top, larger-than-life guy who happens to be probably a genius. And, he knew all the pieces because he was putting all the pieces together. He was a spin master.
And call for what it is. The world's biggest wrestling fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that gets caught up when people, when all the nerds like to complain about wrestling all the time, which is fun. People get caught up with Vince. Guys, don't forget, there's not a man who loves this thing more than Vince McMahon. So when you see him sitting with a wrestler, I was watching one the other day. They interviewed someone, and I'd bring up his name, except I can't remember it. Right. I didn't know who the hell it was. It was a guy I didn't remember. It was one dude who I mentioned on my podcast recently, this Asian dude who they said was Korean, but I looked him up. He wasn't Korean in real life.
Come on.
He had a run for a couple. He had a run for a couple years. And the point is, they had so many guys on that show. They had 4 or 5 guests a week, and and Vince is passionate with all of them.
Right.
And he's working. You can tell he's working, but it's good. It's really good.
Well, he just has this energy about him. And he kept it forward moving.
And the way he joked with Alfred Hayes. Like they had inside jokes that they would laugh about.
What I liked, when you brought up Guerilla Monsoon, I liked him and Bobby the Brain.
Oh.
And I also loved Jesse Ventura thrown in that mix.
Of course.
Oh, Guerilla.
Oh, Jesse. So here's the thing about commentary in that time. The thing that works always is Guerilla. If you had Guerilla and Jesse, gold. Guerilla and Bobby, the best combination in the history, in my opinion, of all time.
Right.
Bobby the Brain Heenan. If he ever listens to the podcast, he has to hear this. That guy is one of the, in my opinion, I've never worked in this business, I just love it, is to me one of the most talented people to ever set foot in the whole thing.
Ever.
In everything.
Could work, could talk, could manage, and man, dude, I mean, just to say that you can really master one of those is a feat in and of itself, but he could do anything you asked him to, anything.
He could have been famous if he had just gone to Hollywood and tried to be a comedic actor.
Right.
I think he could have done that.
Yeah.
I think he could have done anything. So when you get, but the point, the common thread there to me is Guerilla. Guerilla allowed everyone to be great.
Yeah.
And when I watch these days, It's one of my biggest problems with it. And again, sitting next to you, I want to tell you something. I spend a lot of time around wrestling. And in doing so, I have learned to have a great respect for the way I talk about it when I'm talking to people who are actually in the business, okay? So I don't pertain to actually know everything about everything. But as a fan, when I watch these days, commentary doesn't do to me what it's supposed to do. Who is the babyface that I'm supposed to really like and identify with? And I know they want Michael Cole to be just the voice of everything they run on that thing, but you got to have someone who I love and isn't shilling to me. Stop shilling me the network nonstop and call the damn match and let me know who's good and who's bad. We watched last night with you. We were pretty excited to come see it today. So we were sitting around last night and we watched you versus Brett, right? What better to watch when you're going to go see Stone Cold Steve Austin in his house, right? So we're watching that match, and as it ends, Jim Ross, who I love as a person and a amazing professional, he's saying they're starting to boo. The crowd is booing Bret Hart. All of a sudden, 17,000 people are cheering Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, guess what? That lets me know it's changing. Bret's about to be bad. Austin's about to be good. That's where we're going.
Yes.
I don't think that happens anymore.
Sometimes not everybody gets that, so you've got to have that reinforcement, and that's actually what's happening. And a lot of people get it, but not everybody does. And when Jim would lay in, and he was the perfect guy to be, in front of the mic when I came around, because he was the guy that knew how to talk about me in almost a backhanded compliment way. And I don't know why these guys everybody's cheering Stone Cold. He's this, he's that, and they're going to come up with the Texas Rattlesnake, the Stone Cold, all of that stuff. But going back to your comment on the commentary, the only word I would have to say to your comments would be hallelujah. All right, folks, that wraps up my conversation with Peter Rosenberg today. We're going to pick it up this Thursday on Unleashed as we talk everything pro wrestling as I shoot the breeze with Peter Rosenberg, a guy that I've been looking forward to talking to for a long time. He's interviewed a lot of the boys up there in New York City when the guys come through town. He's always just full of questions, has a wealth of information about the business, highly opinionated, as he says, and a real smart dude. And I had a great time hanging out with him and his buddies over at the 316 Gimmick Street Studios, my house. Peter Rosenberg, thanks for coming by the house. Hope you had a good time at the Grammys. I missed them because I was watching the Broken Skull Challenge here at the Broken Skull Ranch, the toughest, baddest, coolest show on television. And you can catch the Broken Skull Challenge every Sunday on CMT. And don't forget to check out Redneck Island this Thursday. If I'm not mistaken, we got the finale coming. See who's going to win $100,000. Don't miss Redneck Island on Thursdays on CMT. Before I wrap this whole thing up, I told you people were going to bring back a word of the day, and I'm bringing back a word of the day right now. And since this is the family-friendly version, word of the day is nincompoop. Nincompoop is the word of the day. When's the last time you used that word? What's the definition of a nincompoop? I'm glad you asked because I have the Urban Dictionary right in front of me, and I'm about to give you what it means. It means a silly, no-brain fool. A silly, no-brain fool. And I'm going to use this in a sentence for you. If you're driving in your automobile or any kind of vehicle on the road today and you fail to use your indicator, your blinker, your turn signal, whatever you want to call it, when you switch lanes, you are an absolute and complete nincompoop. Only a nincompoop would change lanes without using their indicator. That's what nincompoop means. And for you people over in the UK, can you understand that I used indicator just for you? Got a lot of fans over in the UK, and I appreciate y'all listening to the show. Now, down here in Texas, we call it a turn signal, and I call it a blinker. Be that as it may, call it what you want. If you don't use it with your little left hand, it's on the left-hand side of your steering wheel, on the steering column. It's that little stalk that comes out to the left. Flip it up if you want to go right. Flip it down if you want to go left. I would be much obliged if you would use your blinkers, your indicators, and your turn signals from here forward. Hey, man, I want to say thanks very much to everybody who listens to the show and downloads it. I got two shows, Family Friendly Tuesday, Thursdays Unleashed carries an explicit tag where everything's off the rails. I appreciate you folks listening to the damn show all over the world. It really has become a global phenomenon because of you. And since I ain't got no advertising budget, I know you guys are telling your brothers and sisters about it because that's the only way anybody can find out about it. I ain't got no advertising budget up in this damn thing. So if you want to support the show, the best way you can is by using my Amazon links because we still got bills to pay with delivering 2 cans of audio whoop-ass that you download for free. I appreciate all my sponsors on both the family-friendly and the explicit show for allowing us to do this or, giving me a platform to vent, entertain people, and do what I do. Podcast, one-man cluster muck, audio whoop-ass. We got bills to pay. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is using my Amazon links. Amazon USA, Amazon Canada, Amazon UK. All you got to do, go to PodcastOne.com. Click on the Keep Our Podcast Free button. Click on the Steve Austin Show. Amazon's not going to charge you anything extra, no hidden fees. They just give back a small percentage of whatever you bought and kick it back to Podcast One so everybody at Podcast One gets paid. Because believe it or not, they got these gimmicks that they keep sending to their mailbox too, and they're called bills. Anyway, PodcastOne.com, click on the Keep Our Podcast Free banner, then click on the Steve Austin Show and shop to your heart's content. Can you hear those 3 Labradors huffing and puffing in the background? My wife has been in the front yard playing with them, and our dogs are so out of shape because we got a little bitty tiny-ass yard in Los Angeles, and they come out here at the Broken Skull Ranch, and they don't know whether they're crap or wind their watch because they got so much room to run around and play. Moolah is an absolute dog heaven. Moolah, get over here, you old crazy thing. Hershey, the wonder dog, trotting around. She needs to lose about 5 pounds just like her old man. Anyway, folks, I appreciate you downloading the show. Peter Rosenberg, thanks for coming by 316 Gimmick Street. I got my part 2 of the conversation coming up with Peter on Thursday's Unleashed show. Oh, one more thing. I got some new T-shirts over there at BrokenSkullRanch.com or ProWrestlingTees.com/Steve Austin. All the shirts I wore this season and last season on Broken Skull Challenge.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Stream the biggest movies and TV shows for free on Pluto TV. Watch movies like Titanic and G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, plus TV shows like CSI and Star Trek: The Next Generation. Starting this month, check out the 24/7 Stargate channel exclusively on Pluto TV. Plus hundreds of channels and thousands of movies and TV shows absolutely free. Download the free Pluto TV app on your favorite streaming device and start watching today.
Hey, this is Adam Carolla. Let me tell you about my podcast. We do it every single day, so you can subscribe, and there'll always be a fresh one waiting for you. It's about 2 hours of topical topics, and news, and guests, and comedians, and, of course, my own vitriolic take on just about everything that's going on in the world. Plus, we get a lot of really interesting, notable people who come in. We'll get politicians, we'll get tastemakers, we'll get stand-ups, we'll get authors, we'll get pundits, we'll get, I think about covers it all, celebrities as well, and we'll do some really interesting interviews with them. You can get The Adam Carolla Show wherever you download your podcast.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Big Brother Jake, a.k.a. Jake Warner. My government name. Check it out. I host a show called the Big Brother Jake Podcast, and I'll take my talents to the biggest and baddest platform on the planet. That's right, baby. Podcast One. My show is unique as I talk about everything. Life, sports, entertainment, being a single dad juggling several jobs. I'm a hot mess, but it's damn entertaining. Subscribe and review now on Apple Podcasts and listen on Podcast One or wherever you get your podcasts.